Hello friends and welcome to the channel. I am Dr. Mohsen Raj. I am a DM cardiology student at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. And this is the next video in this set of ECG tutorials. This is about P wave abnormalities. So after watching this video, do watch till the end. You won't have any doubt in different forms of abnormal P waves, and you won't have a doubt in how to find left atrial abnormality, right atrial abnormality. So this is how a normal P wave looks like. This is, say, from a lead 2 in an ECG. Notice that this is a positive deflection, and notice that the height or the amplitude is less than 2.5 mm or 2.5 small boxes. And notice that the horizontal, the duration of this wave is less than 120 milliseconds, or less than 0.12 seconds. So the height is less than 2.5 small squares. The duration is less than 3 small squares. This is a normal P wave. This is how a normal P wave looks in lead 2. And I want you to memorize how a normal P wave looks in the lead 2 and how a normal P wave looks in the lead V1. Okay, so remember that P wave represents atrial depolarization. So it represents right atrial depolarization and left atrial depolarization. And turns out that the initial part of this P wave, or this, it represents right atrial depolarization, and the later part represents left atrial depolarization, as shown in this picture. But note that normally in the lead V1, the P wave is biphasic. It has a positive deflection and then it has a negative deflection. Okay, so this positive part is produced by right atrial depolarization. The negative part is produced by the left atrial depolarization. So remember, lead 2, P wave is positive. The initial part is by right atrial depolarization. The later part is by the left atrial depolarization. V1, normally the P wave is biphasic, a positive deflection and then a negative deflection. Remember and memorize this stuff. And this is how abnormal P waves look. So again, you'll focus on the lead 2, lead V1. This is for the reference, the normal P wave. This is how a right atrial abnormality looks like, and this is how a left atrial abnormality looks like. By that, I mean, see, if something is wrong with the left atrium, it's pressure overloaded, volume overloaded, or you call it right atrial enlargement, left atrial enlargement, or right atrial abnormality or left atrial abnormality respectively. So let's focus on the right atrial abnormality first. Notice, so in this situation, the P wave is more peaked. Its amplitude is more than that 2.5. Those 2.5 small squares. It looks taller than that. Okay, and this is what is given the name P pulmonale, okay, this tall peaked P wave. And notice in the lead V1, that initial part which was due to right atrium looks a lot taller. So just look at lead 2, it's a tall peaked P wave. How much? More than 2.5 small squares. And look at V1, that initial positive deflection is taller, specifically more than 0.15 millivolts, but not important to remember and memorize, but just remember these patterns. See, ECG is about pattern recognition. And this is why I've created this tutorial, that I tell you what these important patterns are so that you watch these videos maybe multiple times and remember it. It's just about pattern recognition. And then subsequently, let's look at the left atrial abnormality. Now in this situation, the P wave is as if it's stretched apart. Its duration is increased, okay? So the duration is prolonged. And what was the normal duration? Less than 120 milliseconds or 0.12 seconds. So in this situation, it's prolonged to more than 120 milliseconds. And see, it appears as a notched wave, and which is why it's called P mitral. Okay, so this is P pulmonale, right atrial abnormality. This is P mitral, the left atrial abnormality. Here the amplitude is more, here the duration is more, and it's peaked, it's bifid. And look at the lead V1. Here the initial positive deflection is normal, but this terminal negative deflection is prolonged, and it's more in depth. Okay, so remember these patterns. And again, showing the same thing, this is a right atrial abnormality or right atrial overload in the form of tall, narrow P waves. Okay, formerly they were known as P pulmonale. And this is the left atrial abnormality. Look at the lead 2, this wide and bifid P wave. Look at the lead V1, this increased terminal negative deflection. Okay. And sometimes a patient can have both atrial abnormalities, biatrial abnormality, left atrial and right atrial abnormality. Now notice here, look at the lead 2, it's tall and peaked, so there's right atrial abnormality. Look at the lead V1, look at the terminal negative deflection, it's so prominent. So such an ECG you will label as biatrial abnormality. I hope you found this video useful to you. Obviously it will be useful, and I would appreciate if you like, subscribe and share my content. Thank you.